Welcome back, folks. This is Shane. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell. I post camera and audio reviews as often as I can post them. So today we're checking out my latest acquisition, the GoPro Hero 9, and we're going to put it up against the GoPro Hero 8. Now, this particular video won't incorporate a whole lot of high action and intensity sports like, motocross or anything like that. It's going to be a basic vlogging test with some running and also some internal and external car footage, which I'll show you some of that in just a moment. And then I'm going to give you my thoughts and feelings about both of these and whether or not you should actually upgrade if you're in a similar position to me where you mostly just want the camera either for scenery shots or for vlogging. So that's this sort of angle of this video. I'll leave some time codes in the description below as well as some links to both of these cameras if you choose to pick one up. They help support the channel at no extra cost to you. So firstly, let's see what they can do. First up, I wanted to check out one of the new features of the GoPro Hero 8 Black, the selfie screen, as well as linear mode with horizon leveling, which essentially will keep the horizon flat. I want to see if there was a major difference between them both for vlogging. Let's have a look. As you can see from the sample footage, both looked really good. I'm going to just favor the user experience when it comes down to the GoPro Hero 9. That front-facing screen just made getting myself in frame a whole lot better, and that's a reoccurring theme throughout this anytime we see some comparisons. The second test is a running test, so we're going to see if that horizon stabilization works in the favor of the GoPro Hero 9 again over the GoPro Hero 8. I'll give you my thoughts in just a moment. Now, I don't think they look too dissimilar to each other, to be honest, but I think the main difference, again, that front-facing screen definitely helps you frame the shots when you're running. Now, if you shoot in wide or super view mode, it's not going to make any difference between either of these two cameras, but just being able to run it in linear mode without the fisheye effect for me is a really huge advantage to be able to see exactly what's going on that front-facing screen. The third test is a straight up vlogging test. I'm using this particular Selfie-Stick. This has all these different sections to it, but I just had it at its shortest, at arm's length, just straight out like this. Now, it was extremely windy, so we're going to see which one handles the wind situation the best as well as which one looks the most stable. I'm also going to throw in the Insta360 as a point of comparison. Let's get into it. Let's do a quick comparison now between three cameras. This is the GoPro Hero 9 Black with horizon leveling on in linear mode in 4K 25p. We're going to see how it compares now on a selfie stick up against the GoPro Hero 8 as well as the Insta360 Here we go. What you're looking at right now is the GoPro Hero 8 Black, exactly the same settings on the camera except it doesn't have horizon leveling. So we're going to see how well this compares to the GoPro Hero 9 and whether or not you think the upgrade is worth it if you're into vlogging. Now, this track I'm walking on, it does the cameras absolutely no favors. There's lots of rocks and it winds and goes up and down, all kinds of things. So I'm walking all over the place, and if this looks stable enough for you, there's probably no reason to upgrade. And now over to the Insta360 just as a point of comparison, and I'm just walking at the same speed I was before, so let me know know if you think this looks better or worse and how it sounds in comparison. One of the biggest differences between this and the GoPros is the color science on this looks a lot more vibrant. You'll notice it in the greens and all that kind of stuff. It really pops. I really dig this straight out of camera color when it comes to the 1R. And for those who like to get a really wide, natural 16:9 look, this is linear mode with horizon leveling with maximum reach on my selfie stick. So the camera is about 4 feet away from me, and you know what? I can still see the selfie screen on the front. It's an awesome addition, and I look pretty much dead center. So yeah, you can rule of thirds if you want to do this, but yeah, overall I think this selfie screen works a treat. I have no problems even with my dodgy computer eyesight to see this right now. It was interesting watching this back because I really didn't feel like there was any clear advantage again for the GoPro Hero 9 over the 8 when it came to vlogging. I really feel like the horizon stabilization does some cool things, but you're buying this camera, at least in my opinion, for the front-facing screen. I gotta tell you, I think I like the audio a little bit more on the GoPro Hero 8 for whatever reason with this particular test. And coming in dead last was the Insta360 1R, just in terms of onboard audio quality. It sounded like absolute garbage. Now, I like this camera, but I hate the onboard microphone. It's one of the worst mics on any action camera out there. It's a real shame because overall, this is a really great camera. So let's talk a little bit about battery life. As of right now, I've actually shot more clips with the GoPro Hero 9 and the battery's at 51%. I just checked the GoPro Hero 8 Black, which has a new battery that was fully charged at the same time, and it's down to 31%. So it goes to show you that the battery life on the new GoPro Hero 9 is a huge advantage as well. If that's important to you, it's a no-brainer to upgrade just for that particular battery life feature, especially if you're going to be surfing all day, for example. You're going to get more out of the camera as opposed to, say, having to go on shore, dry, change the battery, and then go back in. So yeah, if that's important to you, the battery life on the GoPro Hero 9 is a lot better. Let's talk about skin tones, low light, and color science when it comes to both of these two cameras. Now, in terms of color science, they're very similar to each other. There might be some slight differences there, but overall they look pretty much the same when you're putting them side by side. In terms of skin tones, this is where they both drastically look different. And there's a sharpening effect that's happening within the GoPro Hero 8 that doesn't quite happen as obviously in the GoPro Hero 9. Now, if we take a look at the expression lines up here, especially next to my eye, the GoPro Hero 9 makes me look a little bit younger. It's almost got like some sort of beauty filter or something on there. I don't know what it's doing, but it feels like it denoises the image a little bit more, making it a little bit more softer. And I see that across the board. It almost appears that the GoPro Hero 8 has far more sharpening, and I've got these set exactly the same in 4K. Yeah, I felt like the GoPro Hero 8 makes me look way more older than this camera or this camera. So yeah, it is what it is. I've noticed that since I've got the GoPro Hero 8, it's not very flattering to the skin, whereas the 9 is, but neither of them really look that realistic compared to an actual camera. I feel like this camera is the best representation of how I actually look. Just to let you know, I have both of these cameras set up identically internally, so the bitrate's all the way up, the sharpness is all the way up. I'm running them both at 4K 25p, and I just found the GoPro Hero 9 was a little bit more flattering, at least to my skin. When it comes to using either of these two inside of a car, for example, both will definitely do the job if you plan on capturing the scenery. I would say if you're mostly using these to capture where you're driving to, so it's pointing outside of the car, there's no real reason to go for the GoPro Hero 9. Even with horizon leveling, it doesn't make a big enough difference in that situation because the car's got the suspension and it looks great and the boost mode is more than enough. So in that situation, I don't really feel like the upgrade is justified. Alternatively, using them as a selfie camera mounted to the dashboard or to the windscreen, the GoPro Hero 9 is so much easier. I actually purchased two GoPro Hero 8s to take them overseas with me. That trip was obviously cancelled due to what's going on around the world right now. One was going to be facing me to vlog to, and one was going to be capturing the scenery. And one of the problems I have, even using these locally here, the GoPro Hero 8s, without that front-facing screen, it's really hard to frame in linear mode. Now, if you're like me and you don't like the wide-angle lens, you're going to love just how much easier it is to frame up your image with the 9. It's not even close. So for that reason, it's definitely worth the upgrade. But you can do it with the GoPro Hero 8s, but I always found that framing them as a selfie car camera, I'd always go to wide mode just to make sure I'm in the shot. And sometimes you can get those warped edges and so forth. So Yeah, I kind of much prefer the 9 as a selfie camera. So it comes down to your use case. If you're going to be using them as a selfie camera, get the one with the front-facing screen. If you like linear mode, if you like any of the wider angles, it's probably not worth it just for car use. And lastly, I just wanted to mention a few of the bugs that I've noticed with the GoPro Hero 9. The first one is the menu options just don't feel anywhere near as smooth to use. They're not only sluggish, but occasionally you'll go to swipe and it will open up a menu option, and they feel vastly different to operate. The Hero 8's menu system is so much easier to swipe through and to get everything that you would need to get to the first time round. I find sometimes I have to do the swipes 3 or 4 times before it actually works, as opposed to it just going into whatever menu my thumb is near. So I feel like the touchscreen on the 9 needs to improve in terms of its software capability. Something about it just doesn't feel very good, and it's also going to kind of tap the screen a little bit harder as well to get it to respond more so than on the 8. The second issue I've noticed when it comes to the GoPro Hero 9 is that when I was in the car and I had it inverted, I'd hit record and I would just see a blank recording. It would show that on screen as well, so it was recording absolutely nothing. You could get the audio off the file, but there was nothing on screen, so I had to stop the camera, start it again. I had to actually pull the battery out of it, put it back in, and then I was good to go. I've not had that happen once with the GoPro Hero 8. The third issue I've experienced with the GoPro Hero 9 is faster frame rate. So anywhere between 50 and say 120 or 200 frames per second. I drop those files into Final Cut and nothing happens. It just basically looks blank in the timeline. I do exactly the same shots with the GoPro Hero 8 and it's fine. So I may actually contact the shop I purchased this from just to see if this is not just me or if it's everybody, but I've definitely noticed some bugs on the timeline with this camera as opposed to the 8. And this always and only happens on the faster frame rates, and it doesn't happen all of the time. I reinstalled Final Cut, I reset all my preferences, all that kind of stuff. I spent a lot of time doing that today. So I didn't want to throw that one in the list without at least mentioning it. And it doesn't happen all of the time with every file either. Some are fine on the timeline and others aren't. I noticed also this is frozen a few times just through general use, so I have to pop the battery out and pop it back in. And that's another issue that I don't have on the GoPro Hero 8. Thankfully though, that doesn't happen very often, but I want to throw that in because, you know, I purchased this, I want to give you my real world opinion on it and experience with it. And hopefully these things will be fixed in future firmware upgrades. So finally, with all of that out of the way, should you upgrade to a GoPro Hero 9 from a GoPro Hero 8? I guess the main thing that most people will want is that front-facing screen. If you're into high adventure stuff like rock climbing and you have the potential to drop this, for example, you'll like the fact you can basically replace the lens cover. That's a huge, huge benefit for people who are actually going to be throwing these things around. But for a guy like me who's mostly using these for a selfie camera in the car or just walking around, the front-facing screen makes a huge difference. So that would be my suggestion. If you're thinking about doing or getting one of these for vlogging, go for the 9. That front-facing screen is going to be a lifesaver and you'll be happy you spent the extra bucks. Thanks again for watching, folks. My name's Shane. Links to these will be in the description below. I'll catch you soon. See ya.